Shooter Base topic number 2 tonight is why do we let them program us with this suicide food? Suicide food. Okay. This came with a link, of course, takes us to YouTube.
Rap artists. This is a recurring theme. Let me remind you, Migos, they rap trio. They had a Popeyes meal. Megan Thee Stallion, she was also has a Popeyes meal. Travis Scott, McDonald's. Saweetie, McDonald's. Mariah Carey, McDonald's. Michael Jordan, McDonald's. Pusha T, Arby's. Mary J. Blige, Burger King. Why isn't it that Whole Foods is not coming at them with a sponsorship? Oh, because they're in marketing partnering. It's what Thomas Sowell refers to as the bigotry of low expectations. This is how Black people eat. And if we want to recognize how many dollars we can make off of Black people and their food ignorance and their poverty, then we need to go to Black actors and Black entertainers and pitch to them that we will give them millions to continue to promote a lack of health in their own community. This is a recurring theme when it comes to Black artists, when it comes to rap artists. This is a recurring theme. Let me remind you, Migos, they rap trio. They had a Popeyes meal. Megan Thee Stallion, she was also has a Popeyes meal. Travis Scott, McDonald's. Saweetie, McDonald's. Mariah Carey, McDonald's. Michael Jordan, McDonald's. Pusha T, Arby's. Mary J. Blige, Burger King. Why isn't it that Whole Foods is not coming at them with a sponsorship? Oh, because they're in marketing partnering. It's what Thomas Sowell refers to as the bigotry of low expectations. This is how Black people eat. And if we want to recognize how many dollars we can make off of Black people and their food ignorance and their poverty, then we need to go to Black actors and Black entertainers and pitch to them that we will give them millions to continue to promote a lack of health in their own community. This is a recurring theme when it comes to Black artists, when it comes.
Sorry, my mic was muted. I wanted to play that twice at least for you guys to get the gist of it. She's making a very interesting point here. It's a very interesting point here. Let me start with Real Black Gentleman. Real Black Gentleman, what are your thoughts on what Candace was saying here in terms of why do we let these people program us with this suicide food?
Because we don't have land to grow our own food. That's why, you know what I'm saying? We know the long answer to this. I mean, Candace Owens is the type of person that tries to usher in and try to like herd people through towards ideological like little fencing and stuff. Like, yes, the food is not good, and like, this goes back to like, you know what I'm saying? It's like trying to, how would I say it? Black people are in a bad spot. So like when Black people like might do something that might not be considered a step forward, let's say it could be considered in a sense a step backwards, right? Someone's out here, promoting, food that we go, I eat, you know what I'm saying? All this, you know what I'm saying? It's like how do we like not blame ourselves for necessarily taking a step back in a sense? Is that really like the big thing? Instead of looking at the small picture, like, Black people are not eating good. How do Black people eat better? You know what I'm saying? We have to go through the obvious, you know what I'm saying? Make sure, you know what I'm saying, have a if you want to eat hamburger, you know what I'm saying, make sure the cow is eating good, you know what I'm saying? Make sure you're feeding them some healthy grains, you know what I'm saying? And you'd have to have enough of them, you know what I'm saying? Because if they want, you know what I'm saying, McDonald's or Arby's, you know what I'm saying, that's healthy in our eyes, you know what I'm saying? There's a lot to it. I mean, how would I say it? This just goes back to what she's saying is that it's going back to like personal responsibility in the midst of unfair and biased treatment. You know what I'm saying? We're not as upstanding as we should be in the face of adverse circumstance and stuff. I mean, I don't give her credence really. I know where she's coming from. I think that, you know what I'm saying, like, it's like I take her with a grain of salt. She's right, you know what I'm saying, twice a day, as it were. But I know where she's coming from. I know she means well, but it's just her. She's just trying to organize, some already discluttered stuff that Black people are doing in the midst of us trying to survive. She's saying that we're not coping well enough. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? We have to, coping mechanisms and trying to, organize the dysfunction. It's like, no. I mean, Black people live in cities for the most part. I mean, there had to be some really, like, you got to give Black people land. You know what I'm saying? If Black people were living out in more rural areas and even more suburban areas where we actually had housing and stuff, you know what I'm saying, where we might actually be able to have Whole Foods and stuff, you know what I'm saying, we can make our own Arby's at home and whatnot, you know what I'm saying, it's like, with a kitchen, you know what I'm saying, that has all kinds of bells and whistles for, you can grill, braise, broil the meat or vegetables however you like it, you know what I'm saying. Black people in general just don't have all that types of means to do that, and it's also a function of time. I mean, you know what I'm saying? A lot of people eat fast food because it's like it takes time to cook. I mean, cooking takes resources at home too. The gas, I mean, the meat is relatively expensive. I mean, just because, I mean, not everything at a fast food is harmful to eat. I mean, you don't want to eat it every day. That's not good. I mean, it's good to, like, eat something fresh, eat a fresh salad, you know what I'm saying? Eat some fruit, you know what I'm saying? It's good to do that. I just think that, like, she's, like I said, you know what I'm saying? She's protesting backwards, you know what I'm saying? Like, that's not what, you don't get mad, and you don't blame the people for, like, look, if such and such is gonna give me, you know what I'm saying, 100 grand, you know what I'm saying, to say, you know what I'm saying, yeah, I nosh on this, you know what I'm saying, but boom, you know what I'm saying, I'm gonna cash that check shamelessly, I'm a yield.
Ba-da-ba-ba-ba, you taking that money, huh? Real Black Gentleman, thank you for that. Yeah, so you guys in the chat are kind of nailing the points I was going to make later, which is we live in these food deserts, like Sister Erica from Grandma used to say. She says majority of Black people live in a food desert, not to mention they're trying to penalize people for having a big garden. It's illegal in my area to raise chickens in the city. Olugunde says it's a niche demographic. They market too. But with that being said, we should be eating better. And I want to get to that. Jacadero's here. I hope I'm saying your name right too. Jacadero's here. He said fast foods dominate our neighborhoods and marketing strategists go after what has the potential to make profit. Whole Foods ads wouldn't do well for promotion since those stores are not there. Earlier, Jacadero said something like, what did he say again? He said, you don't see Whole Foods commercials. And I think that's a interesting psychological experiment to run. The truth is, like Olagunde said, there are Whole Foods commercials. I see them all the time, but the reason why I notice them is because I have times where I go to Whole Foods, right? The truth of the matter is, like Olagunde said earlier in the chat, Whole Foods ain't in no Black neighborhoods. You gotta make up your mind you go into a Whole Foods, in my opinion. They're not in Black neighborhoods at all, and you gotta make up your mind that you're gonna go to a Whole Foods, which is why I say I sometimes go there. So this is why it catches my eye when I see it. But you're right. If you're not a person going to Whole Foods, you don't even see those commercials. You know what I mean? You don't even see those commercials, but you'll catch the McDonald's one. You'll catch the Burger King or Popeyes or what have you. But it says something, and I think Real Black Gentleman touched on this too. Like, we're in a predicament here. That these people have us, as they say, dead to right in the sights. Like, they know they created the food desert, and we're not doing anything to close that food desert gap. I was listening to Bakari earlier today, like I said, and the brother Shaka Zulu Anthony. He was on there, and Anthony's, and shout out to Anthony because I think he listens to Shoot the Breeze. He was talking about how black men got to come together and change this shit. And I 100% agree, and it starts with these things. You see, we look at these things as insignificant often, but they're very significant. This is a part of the war program. They're killing you with food. There's a reason why McDonald's is all through our neighborhoods. There's a reason why Burger. In fact, I'm next to a situation where there's a Burger King right across the street from McDonald's. They know the situation, and if it ain't that, it's some Chinese food. They know what they're doing, and we're not. To Candace Owens' credit, we're not saying, yo, enough of that shit. And we're not challenging these celebrities too, like Real Black Gentleman said. He'll take the 100,000, and I get it, but we don't challenge these people. We don't have to have a Whole Foods per se in our neighborhoods. Why aren't we putting up our own version of a Whole Foods in our neighborhood? Because we need to eat better. That's a part of this fight too. Why aren't we closing these gaps? At least trying to. I'll digress. Did Ben Uko ever come back? Ben, if you're there, let me know. I'll give you a minute, a few seconds. It looks like Ben's not here, so I'm going to remove Ben from the panel. Doesn't make sense having you here and you're not here. That was RBG. Let's welcome in Tanzan this week. Tanzan, how are you this week?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good. I'm hanging in there.
Cool.
So, did you see this video?
Yes. Well, she does tell well, the first thing she said is that they're going to go for the celebrities first, and they're going to sponsor them with fast food. Well, that's not really that monumental, because remember, even Britney Spears was advertising Coke or Pepsi. One of the Kardashian sisters was advertising those. And I think there have been many commercials for McDonald's and all this junk food. So it's not just specific to, to Black celebrities, but the food deserts and is specific to, poor Black communities. So that's where I would make the distinction. And of course, it's marketing. So they're going to market junk foods. Whole Foods it doesn't need to be marketed, because it markets itself as this upper class. We're too good for everybody else, sort of thing. So, yeah. So that point is not very strong. Talk about celebrities, because celebrities are there to peddle pretty much anything junk. The thing that she should focus on is why there are no options for people to eat healthy. She should be going after either the city managers, the corporations, the people who open those stores, and even Whole Foods. Go after Whole Foods and say, why are you not opening stores in Black neighborhoods? But then they'll tell you, well, because they don't like our foods and so on, because it's too expensive. So it's just a whole myriad of reasons. Basically, it just comes to poverty. And unfortunately, with poverty, you have very few options. So if someone wants to eat better, you do have to make the extra effort to go elsewhere. Or to another thing that people can do is they can buy things in bulk together. You can, if people buy the same things, a tissue or paper towels, things like that, non-perishable, people can organize to, well, in an ideal world, obviously, but it's not going to happen. But if people had that inclination, they would actually pay somebody or go together and buy in bulk to, buy from better places. I know you can't really do that with food, because food kind of, you want somewhere close. But there, for now, you have to go out of your comfort zone to, to get the healthy food, unfortunately. Yeah.
Thank you for that, Tan. From one Kenyan to another, let's welcome Jacadero.
How did you know that I'm a Kenyan? How did you know that?
You remember we had that conversation under a post, I think.
But I said I was a Luo. I don't. I mean, Luo spans throughout East Africa.
Oh, okay. My bad.
It's
Right.
a, it's
That's
it's
why
a,
you said Luo, and I'm only familiar with Luo in Kenya. That's why I thought that. Yeah.
Gotcha. One of these days we'll do a education show. What?
Sure.
Right? Yeah.
Sure. Yeah. I can find that's a great idea actually.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a great idea to talk about the histories and stuff
Yeah.
with a person from a country in the continent. That's a good idea. Yeah, I appreciate
I'll plug in my Venmo later.
that. You do that, man. Drop it.
Welcome fellow EAC.
How are you?
Poa sana na wewe.
Mi niko fiti.
Oh, okay. Wewe ni poa basi, okay.
Yeah,
Basi wale wamesahau.
habari yako lakini.
Niko poa, karibu.
Asante. So, by the way, we were just greeting each other, everybody that's listening. I don't want anybody
Yes,
to think
we're not talking anything behind anybody's back.
We thought we were on Swahili Nation for a second.
Okay, Jose, we'll stop.
So, I was gonna say that on the topic of food deserts and what is being marketed to us, I live in a major Midwest city, and my neighborhood that I live in is lower class, probably the lowest class throughout the city. And the specific spot in this neighborhood, I'd say within a 10-mile radius, there's 3 grocery stores that are all within 5 miles of each other, and they're all owned by Ethiopians. And what's significant is that they sell the same, what you would say, processed foods that the other stores that are owned by our African American brothers and sisters are selling as well. I remember I asked one of the, because usually with African grocery stores, the person that's running the cashier is the person that is usually owning the store. So I asked the cashier, I said, hey, I know that you guys also sell fast food when the kitchen is open. Do you eat any of that stuff? And he looked at me with like a confused look, like, no, I don't. But it's something to point out too, is that earlier was pointed out that, like, I think Koku, you had stated that you see the Whole Foods ads because you have the wherewithal to pay attention to Whole Foods. I believe that enough of us pay attention to, we have our own grocery stores in our neighborhoods. We can push for us to push the cashiers, which again, they're normally the store owners or they have close ties with the store owners, to put the fresh produce, more of the fresh produce and less of the processed foods in these stores. We can come out a lot better.
I appreciate that, and again, my apologies for assuming Kenya. So
No. Coco, don't play with me. You already know what it is.
Thanks for coming through, man. I appreciate when you guys come up. To be real, finally, I guess, but not leastly, Buana, why do we let them program us with this suicide food?
I think that we allow them to program us because we want to eat those foods. I think that for the people who don't want to eat those foods, they're not going to eat those foods. The suggestion, but here is the lady, I forget, Candace Owens. She was naming off the different artists that was in the industry of selling, McDonald's to black consumers and things of that nature. Okay, so there are also black artists who've been singing about different kinds of food lifestyles from since I've been listening to popular North American music. You remember in KRS-One sang that line like, "I don't eat meat nor chicken nor hamburger. That's murder. That's suicide, self murder, something like that from back in the day." And then you have Styles P. Styles P owns like 13 different fruit juicing um, restaurants all over New York City, from the Locks. Very popular artists. We have 50 Cent, who was selling vitamin water. Now, we could talk about vitamin water and not necessarily being better than water itself, but he was selling vitamin water. He made us very, very popular at one particular point in time. Why doesn't she mention him as well in this diatribe? Within the community I come from, the Caribbean community, you know, the Rastafarians been singing about Aital living and Aital lifestyles from born days. Many of the Rastafarian artists, they're vegetarians. So I mean, if and there's a programming that came with that too, because many young people decided to take alternative lifestyles and eating and things like that because of the music, because of the Rastafarians putting out the message of vegetarianism out there into the world. So that the whole Aita lifestyle. So I think that there needs to be a degree of agency and self responsibility in terms of eating. I understand we go for the cheaper foods, but we could, in the same instance, we could go into a bodega and get a little bag of spinach. You know what I mean? Or get some tomatoes. We don't want to cook anymore. This is the problem. We don't want to take the time or effort into cooking and what goes into cooking, which is you really need to really look at what you put into your body. That's 15 to 10 minutes a day that you will take to cook food. It'll be much better from you getting some processed something from McDonald's. So I think we need to exercise a degree of agency. Agency, yes, the sellers are going to sell you the bad food, but what do you say at the end of the day in terms of what you decide to put into your mouth? You have a brain yourself. You have a mind yourself. Why don't you use it? Why does Michael Jordan have to tell you to eat a hamburger as opposed to me making a hamburger myself? I don't eat hamburgers, but you know what I mean? So I just think that this whole thing of passing it off on to artists, popular artists, in terms of they doing something, they are just sellers just like anyone else. Because like the brother was saying, there are white artists who are selling McDonald's as well. They going off to the highest bidder. Why do they get to decide what goes into your stomach? Why don't you decide that? So I think that we give up agency. We really give up agency, and we allow others to define our reality for us in terms of us defining our reality for ourselves. Because we should decide what we want to eat. We should decide that I cook more than I go out to eat. Me personally, artists can tell me that Popeye chicken is the bomb when I can make the same goddamn food and keep some money in my pocket too. Come on, man. Come on, man. But I understand it is the United States, and food is much easier to acquire. You spend a couple of cents. But even if I was in the United States, I cooked over there as well. I have a cooking culture in my head. I go cook more so than I buy any fast food business because I recognize from since I was a teenager, every time I eat those processed foods, I would have to go to the bathroom. My body does not. My body rejects it. My body rejects it. So if my body is consistently rejecting this processed food, there's a thing that should go off in my head to say, hey, my body don't get. Should try an alternative. And if the me differently, let me try that. But I think that it's just real. It has to do with will. It has to do with agency, and it also has to do, unfortunately, with laziness, because you don't put gasoline into your brand new BMW. You put the best oil inside that. So if you do that at the gas pump, why don't you do it at the dinner table as well? You treat your car better than you treat yourself, and you will have yourself longer than you have your car. It makes no sense. But I'll stop there just to be brief, man.
I think that does speak to. I agree with what you said. I think it does speak to the power of this. I guess the pentagrammers might call it magic, but the power of this propaganda thing, man. These messages and these images, the imagery and the messaging, they've mastered that shit to the point where they know that this ad may not catch you in this minute, but it'll be on your mind tomorrow. When you think about what you're going to eat tomorrow, you didn't make no food, you will go McDonald's or KFC or whatever. Like, there's a power in that. And I think, one of what you said your body rejected it. Now, if your body wasn't rejecting it that way, you might have continued eating it. You see what I'm saying? The aversion came because of how your body responded, not necessarily because of some thought that went off in your head. If you get what I'm saying.
No, I get it, but I personally think that some of the foods I have addictive qualities to it. There's certain things that they put into the foods that is addictive. So even if my body rejects it, what's inside of it, and whether it's MSG or whatever preservative or whatever they put into it, I'm still gonna go get it. I'm still gonna, because my brain is telling me, yes, this is not good for you, but there's a desire there, whatever dopamine that is inside my brain is gonna draw me back to that. But when I internalize that and put it into my system is saying, this ain't for you, bro. You need to find something else. So there's a chemical fight or imbalance that's going on in my body. So I just rather choose to eat the food that after I still feel good. I still could function. I still feel energy that way. And I use that as a conclusion to say, well, if I eat these foods, I'll have more energy. As opposed to if I eat these foods, I want to go to sleep. You understand? So this is my how I calculate it. Others may calculate it differently, but this is the alarm that goes off in my mind.
In the chat, let's say peace to the forecast who came in earlier. Olagunde says eating healthy in our neighborhood is inconvenient and more considerably expensive. But to be honest, even if it was close and affordable, a lot of our people would still eat unhealthy because fast food is designed to be addictive. Grandma used to says, I cook all the time. It's my passion. I credit my grandparents passing that gift down to me, similar to Buana. It's just in him to cook. Jose says, my sin is kebab or shawarma and such. No sugar processed McDeath, a Whopper now and then. Forecast says he's starting to eat healthier now. Olagunde says suggestive programming to what I was saying earlier. Lero's here. Lero says peace, loved ones. RBG had some oxtail soup, I guess. Marcus Garvey's the way says, when we go out of town, my family and I don't cook, but we either eat Chick-fil-A or we stop at restaurants with food, mostly ethnic restaurants, to have solid meals, not fast food as solo option. So that makes some sense, right? That makes some sense. Does anyone else want to add anything else to this prompt? All right.
Yeah, also the idea that food is not that. Hello, sorry. Hello.
Go ahead.
Oh, sorry. Yes. Also, the idea that food is not that necessary to life. If you're hungry, you're not going to die. If you don't eat. I think sometimes, if you don't have good food, it's better to go without than to eat bad food, only for a little while. So, you don't have to eat chips. You don't have to eat snacks and sweets. Wow. Okay. I'm just a killjoy. Okay. But a lot of the foods that people eat, they really don't need to eat. So we have to also examine why we do eat as much as we do. Yeah, that's it.
That's an interesting comment you made there. You said food is not that important to survival.
Yeah, I mean, it's not that. I don't know if that's me echoing.
I'll mute.
Okay, so food is, you need food to live, obviously, but you can live for quite some time without food. So not just the whole fasting thing, but sometimes if you're too lazy to cook, then you're not worthy of eating. So if people are too lazy and they want to fill their stomach up with junk food, then sometimes you just forgo eating the junk and say that I'd rather go hungry than eat something that is bad for me. That's also people who want to moralize their their food decisions. That is also another option, that instead of eating bad food, you make yourself either eat good food, or no food at all, because there's no time when a box of biscuits was really that necessary, or snacks or sweets and all these things. So I think those things should be used as a treat, not as an everyday, food item. And that's how, we grow up. African diet is mostly, it's a lot of vegetables. There's usually vegetables in nearly every meal. So different kinds of kales and so on. Or you just make a rule, you're not going to eat anything unless you have vegetables on your plate. Not to be vegetarian or vegan or whatever, but just, I'm not going to eat just plain steak unless there's a cabbage nearby or something like that. All right. That's
wait a minute, time. You can't get away with that today. You mean East African diet is more vegetarian because West Africans is eat pure meat and stuff. Yeah, they eat enough meat. But let me say this too. So a good
Oops, we're losing you.
y'all can't hear me?
You break
Unmute.
it up. You break it up, and your volume
Oh,
is
man,
has dipped.
I go on my laptop, man. After this, can you hear me now though?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. So a good trick to satiate your hunger is eat some peanuts. Peanuts will satiate your hunger. That means so you won't be eating all the time. So try it, not with sugar all over it now. That don't matter. Get some and it'll satiate your appetite. Sometimes and skip one meal or two. But I just wanted to put that out there just to let the family know. Because when we say eat better, we don't give examples of how to go about it. So the brothers and sisters would know, how some tips that they could use to possibly, try to satiate their appetites instead of bad foods all the time. Between meals, good meals.
Anyone else want to add any last words to this prompt? Okay, let's go to Shoot the Breeze topic number 3 tonight. Thanks to everyone who's here tonight. Make sure you hit the like button, share the show amongst your peoples. I'm sure you have some friends or family who share similar interests as you, who would also like the show, like the conversations going on over here. So make sure to share the show as well.